Yeah, this right here is pretty fucking wild. You know, this is something I wanted to talk about right now because honestly, this is something pretty wild that I never... Actually, no, I have expected. But yeah, the Florida man they are calling Captain Dan from Forrest Gump movie. We'll get to that in a minute. I think you're talking about Lieutenant Dan. Yeah. So, this is honestly really fucking crazy to me because the furry fandom has always been like this weird, cringy subculture. But granted, there's a lot of beautiful people in it and a lot of like talented artists, talented musicians, you know, fursuiters and writers, storytellers. There's so many talented and amazing people in the furry fandom. So for somebody to be like literally voting against themselves and against their community has always been something that I never fully understood. Like, it's as if they have their politics and then their, you know, them being a furry is like second nature. So like, they don't fully understand the correlation of what they're voting for. They say they're voting for certain things, like, let me see. What was it again? Hold on. They're basically like voting for like, what, border patrol and shit like that? You know, like they're so crazy about the border. Voting for freedom and guns, hell yeah, literally, that's supposedly what they think they're voting for, but it's quite the opposite. They're voting for less freedoms, you know, and they don't fully realize it. They don't understand that. Especially when it comes to like somebody who's a furry. It's like, well, okay, I'm not really that surprised because they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot too. So, why would you do that? But yeah, this guy right here, Arctico and Laguna? I don't even know if that's how you pronounce the name, but whatever. Since furries want to talk politics, let's talk politics. I'm Arctico? I don't know. A bisexual furry. I will be voting for Donald Trump this election. If you have a problem with that, you can kiss my fluffy blue ass. I support closed border, gun rights, and putting America first. What the fuck do you mean by that? Like, I don't fully understand because, like, we already have a pretty closed border and then, like, all the fear-mongering of, like, illegal immigrants coming through the border, that's not true. That's really, really not true, you know? If anything, there's a lot less people coming through the border illegally, you know? I mean, there may be an uptick of asylum seekers. Sure, that could be a thing, but that's not happening. It's fucking crazy to me. But if you really think about it, this is just gonna be my personal opinion, right? For anybody that is so caught up on the whole closed border talk, I think they're secretly racist. Wild take, I know, but I honestly think it's like one of those like dog whistles, in my opinion. Like, you know how a lot of conservatives say, what was it called again? States' rights, that's what it was. Basically, a lot of conservatives back in the day, especially, you know, broader Republicans, tend to use the word states' rights. But that's kind of like a dog whistle of like racial bullshit, you know? It's pretty racist in my opinion. How is it and why is it? It's simple, really. You know, you don't want other ethnicities, other people from different backgrounds and cultures coming into a country that is very much the foundation, which would be, you know, immigrants, mixed races, combination of cultures, so many different kinds of people. You know, that's basically what this country was built upon. So it's kind of funny how bisexual furry is voting for somebody who does not even like them, like at all. Like, in fact, most likely despises.
So we made all these cute little miniatures.
Mini signs.
There's some cute little, see, like that. Is that cute?
No, God!
Somebody who is bisexual, gay, trans, you know, different color of skin that is not white, you're definitely going against the grain here. And when it comes to guns rights, nobody's taking your guns. I don't get it. Who's taking your guns? What, Democrats are? No. If anything, they're kind of solidifying the whole gun rights thing, but they just want common sense gun laws so that way there won't be mass shootings, especially in schools, right? Like, I remember when I was a kid going to school, mass shootings, that never has been a thing in my mind. Like, never in American politics. I don't remember, having to worry about that, ever. And now it's kind of like, almost every year, there's big catastrophe like that. I don't... Why?
You can see here there's no handle on the outside. So in the event of an emergency, a teacher or administrator is able to close the door and lock it so the students are kept safely inside.
Like, I feel like people... I feel like people like this guy, just have like the whole, thing against like, what, cancel culture and, the whole whole libtard liberal idealism bullshit. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't agree with people like that. Maybe you don't agree with like make everything like PC cultured or whatever, but you, if anything, you're kind of going against yourself at this point, for voting for somebody that does not like you, and you're kind of voting for a group of people that despise you, conservatives. They think furries are not normal. They think they're weird. They want to restrict freedoms from people who are trans, and before trans people, they try to remove rights from people who are gay or lesbian or whatever, So if you're really like trying to put America first, you're kind of not. If it's as if we're taking like one step forward and we're taking 10 steps back. And this guy, the reason why I like really despise people like this too is because they're blocking progress. Like genuinely, they're blocking progress. You want more acceptance in this country. You want more open-mindedness. You want people to understand each other. I'm sure I could probably understand him in some ways, and I may not agree with everything, but it's silly. Okay, so basically what happens in American politics, and you may not know this, but whenever there's a cycle of like a Democrat in office, then a Republican in office, Democrats are always the ones trying to fix shit up, and you don't really see the progress until later, because things like that, policy, bills getting passed, those things take time. They take years. So for things to actually change, it takes a couple years. Very rarely is the case that things happen, in an instance. These things take time. So when you have a Republican in office, they're basically fucking everything up. And that could happen rapidly, or that can happen over time. And then to really feel the full effects is when a Democrat is in office. So therefore, you think, wait a minute, there's a Democrat in office and things are worse than when a Republican is in office. So fuck the Democrats, you're making things worse. Whereas that's really not entirely the case. If anything, both aren't really amazing parties, but one is just making things so much worse than the other. Like, how fast do you want things to crumble? How fast do you want things to go to shit, right? Do you want that to happen faster? Sure, you put a Republican in the office. If you want at least some little bit of chance or something good to happen or some sort of progress, something good, right? And you put a Democrat in there. It's honestly that simple, but I get it, it could be complicated because like Democrats are very spineless, they're very feckless, but I'd rather not be living in a fascist state like this dude over here. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy too how this post on Twitter just got so much backlash too. Rightfully so. Like, with almost every post or every reply, there's around 1,000 to a couple hundred, likes. Clearly, this dude is in the wrong. He is like in the wrong side of history. And I don't know who's gonna win this election. I have no idea, but clearly this dude doesn't fully understand what he's voting for. You may think he knows it, you may think he understands, but he truly doesn't, Because again, evangelicals, conservatives, you don't want those people in office. Because at the very least, they could just start, I don't know, banning furries. That's such a stretch, but I wouldn't put it past people like that to do that, But again, they want to take away a lot of people's rights. The freedom to choose whether women get an abortion or not. The freedom to want to marry who you want to marry. It doesn't have to be religious purposes, but it could be through the state. If they really cared about the border, they could just like, they could appoint more justices to have, asylum seekers become illegal citizens to legal citizens, to gain legal status, to become citizens, you know? Have more of a better flow to citizenship, an easier path to citizenship. But no, when people say closed border, it's more of a racist dog whistle. That's all it is. It's just wild to me, you know? It's something fucking weird about gay people voting for Trump and shit like what the fuck. Isn't it great how diverse our country is? It should be celebrated. So if you really think this country is great to be diverse, why close the border? Why close, you know, this country off to more diversity if you think it should be celebrated? It's so weird. You're in Pennsylvania, why would you be worried about the border? Also, you don't support criminals, but did we forget that Mr. Trump over here is a convicted felon? Literally, this dude has been a convicted felon. He's been screwing over a lot of people, you know, failed businesses one after another and another. He really screwed a lot of people over via Trump University. It's just wild, and a lot of people that surround him, some of them have gone to jail as well, and they're being convicted or already convicted felons. But of course, let's see what this guy says. Because illegal immigration affects everyone. They don't just stay at the border. Yes, he has been illegally convicted of a felony, but I don't vote on that. I don't vote on that basis. I vote on policy. This guy. Okay, then Trump has basically the worst policies imaginable. And if you remember, Congress was about to pass a border bill that he blocked. So he's got some really shit policy. I don't understand, my guy. But yeah, I mean, the reason why illegal immigration could be affected by an average American is simply because a multi-billionaire chooses to have illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants to work for them, simply so that way they could pay them less and not hire an American citizen and pay them a fair living wage. That's all it is, you know? And overall, we do need immigrants. Always, 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 you know? Because, believe it or not, they're the ones that do the jobs that basically nobody, you know, wants to do. And yeah, I mean, that's just how it is, you know? In my opinion, we should have more citizens, you know? Coming from all over different countries. And if you're so worried about people who are criminals coming into the country, the US alone itself has a lot more criminals than those that are coming into the country, you know? Simply people from other countries coming into the US, they just want to live a better life, you know? We as a nation, we definitely touted ourselves to be like this land of opportunity, right? So if you have that caption, if you have that label, then of course people from other countries, those that aren't as amazing as the US, want to come to the US simply for a better opportunity. And to close that off is not right, you know? But yeah, furries have always had this like identity in the grand scheme of things, you know? Or they've always touted themselves to be very inclusive. And a post like this is the most inclusive thing ever. It's, you know, it's completely stupid. So, Arctico, if I'm pronouncing your name right, you're a fucking moron.